The Iranian Revolution arose from widespread discontent with the monarchy. The revolution was fought against the regime of Mohammad Reza Shah, culminating in the end of the Pahlavi dynasty. Dissatisfaction with the lack of democracy, economic conditions, religious immorality, and foreign forces grew. The constitutional revolution of 1905 denied depressive dynasty's rule.
Don't make John!
It resulted in the establishment of a constitution and the Majlis, an elected representative parliament. Popular and eventually led to the demise of the Qajars and the establishment of the Pahlavi dynasty. The Pahlavi dynasty symbolized Western immorality and Reza Shah assumed by his son, sparking revolution. The Pahlavi dynasty, although popular at times, became a symbol of Western immorality and religious sacrilege. Protests became a regular feature of Iranian society, and the revolution established the Islamic Republic of Iran. Discontent sparked the constitutional revolution of 1905. In October 1906, a constitution limited royal power, creating an elected bird. 1907 marked Iran's first steps toward democracy, inspiring a revolution that led to successful political upheaval. In 1921, Reza Khan led the Persian Cossack Brigade to seize power. Reza Shah Pahlavi's main objectives were to strengthen the central government and to modernize Iran. Reza Shah's modernization limited clerical power. He built a secular university in Tehran, open to women. Reza Shah curbed clerical power with new secular laws and courts. By 1932, while Reza Shah was very popular, his intolerance of dissent alienated intellectuals and Shia clerics.
Disperse now! The name of the Shah!
Reza Shah abdicated on 16 September. His son succeeded him, becoming Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. Foreign occupation drew Iran closer to the West, fueling popular discontent with the Pahlavi regime. Issues, allowing the communist leaders to gain support by organizing industrial workers.
Soviets in Iran concessions. They withdrew after a 1946 oil deal.
On 15th March, the Mossadegh, like the Majlis, voted to nationalize the oil industry. 1948 saw an increase in popular desire for oil nationalization in Iran.
Fellow deputies, the time has come to reclaim our oil.
Mossadegh's nationalization of oil created friction with the Shah. The U.S. launched Operation Ajax. The Shah, backed by the U.S., dismissed Mossadegh. Days of riots followed, restored the Shah. A period of political repression followed as Mohammad Reza Shah, nationalist and communist parties were repressed. Clerical discontent grew under the Pahlavis.
Their codes are Islamic identity. The veil is not just cloth.
In 1944, Ruhollah Khomeini published Kashf al-Asrar, announcing. In 1963, a restoration. This clash foreshadowed the revolution to come. In June 1963, Ayatollah Khomeini was arrested, leading to 3 days of press by the Shah.
This bill will do nothing to erupted domestic. This bill is a violation of the dignity of our nation. We must resist.
From exile, Khomeini released anti-Shah statements, lecturing students on the incapable monarchy of Islam, his vision for Islamic governance. Meanwhile, younger Iranians formed most groups were disbanded, but two survived, the Fedayeen and the Mujahideen. Both groups used similar tactics to undermine the Shah's regime. They attacked police stations, bombed. By 1976, Iran's economy was in turmoil. The Shah's ambitious plans. As part of the wider modernization program, the government used the increased funds to nationalize private training schools, reducing income taxes. While the protests of 1977 were primarily middle-class and secular, were led by religious figures. By 1978, over 60,000 foreigners lived in Iran. From 1977, human rights groups spotlighted the oppressive Shahs. Opposition groups began organizing open. The 1977 protests were middle-class and secular.
Down with the tyrants!
Nightclubs and cinemas were symbols of moral corruption and Western influence. Banks represented economic exploitations, the regime's violence. Posters shifted to feature Khomeini as the leader of the revolution. From exile, he urged more protests and warned against compromise. In August 1978, over 400 people died. Napabad in a fire in Sarumar. On September 4, 1978, anti-Gumtik Red Cross Iran. On September 8, 1978, in Tehran's Jaleh Square, the Shah's troops. The official death toll reached some figures like Friday. Expelled from Iraq, Khomeini moved to France. This gave his movement wider exposure. Better phones improved
The
operations.
revolution is near.
In September 1978, better pay. Demands grew into calls for political change. By November, private industries had halted. The Shah closed schools and banned all public gatherings. The Shah released prisoners, including Montazeri. Khomeini rejected it. Protests resumed, shutting down the government. On 10 and 11 December, hundreds of thousands marched with the Shah's trust troop, who agreed to form a government.
On January 3rd, the Majlis voted for Bakhtiar's government. 3 days later, he presented his cabinet to the Shah. On the 16th, the Shah fled. Bakhtiar's government promised reforms, but for the people, only an end to the monarchy would suffice. The National Front expelled Bakhtiar for capitulating to
Khomeini got a referendum.
Over 1 million answered. On February 1st, 1979, Khomeini
Make Bazargan.
The Air Force then declared loyalty to Khomeini.
On February 11th, by afternoon, the capital was in rebel hands and the dynasty had collapsed. By Khomeini's proclamation, however, the country was still ablaze with February 19 sentiment. Since the establishment of hundreds of semi-independent revolutionary committees during the revolution, there was no longer an effective central authority. Khomeini made his own policy pronouncements, named government representatives, and established new institutions without Bazargan.
You are guilty of collaboration. The courts must suspend their activities immediately.
However, on 5th of April, the courts were reauthorized by the Revolutionary Council.
Over 550 people have been Bazargan.
Khomeini sought to Islamize Iran, creating the Ivrist-Degarasi. Bazargan was left powerless. In 1979, a referendum determined Iran's system post-monarchy.
I republic when was wrong.
The constitution was rewritten to establish clerical domination, giving ultimate authority to Khomeini as the faqih.
Khomeini, populist preachers, the former Shah was admitted in the sentiment. In 1979.
After meeting Carter's advisor in Algeria, protests erupt in Tehran. 2 days later, Bazargan resigns.
The Revolutionary Council took over the prime minister's functions pending presidential and Majlis elections. The Iran hostage crisis